Welcome to the Radically Aligned Show. I'm your host, Deidre Sirianni, and I am so excited to dive in today's conversation with my soul sister and friend, Allana Pratt. I'm so pumped that you're here today. Like, we're going to have so much fun. I had to press the record button because I'm like, it's going to get deep and we need to talk about this, right?
Deep fast. Yep. That's us. Yep.
Yes. So Allana here is the go-to authority for those who have suffered from heartbreak and are ready to live unapologetically and attract an open-hearted ideal relationship. That sounds so good. A certified coach with nearly 5 million viewers on YouTube, Allana offers private, group, and online coaching programs for singles and couples to help her ideal clients develop healthy, intimate relationships for themselves first, which is really where it all starts, and naturally attracts and enhances their ideal partnerships. Okay, so this woman right here has done so many amazing things. This Ivy League grad is the author of 6 books. Okay, Allana, I'm writing like my first one, so help me out. And she's the host of the edgy podcast, Intimate Conversations. She has been chosen as an icon of influence, is a columnist for the Good Men Project, and has been featured in the Huffington Post, People Magazine, Forbes, on CBC, on CBS.
CBS, you'll see all the, whatever, all those.
CBS, ABC, TLC, and Fox, and the Jenny McCarthy Show. And her book is called From Heartbreak to Heartmates, and it's about discovering lockdown love. So I am so pumped that you're here. Let's dive right into lockdown love, because, you know, this is a thing that a lot of people are experiencing. I'd love for you let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, first off, the gift I believe in all of this pandemic is that, note to self, life is uncertain. Like, no, I'm in control. And I think really the biggest mental health crisis is people are like, oh my God, I'm not. I have no idea how to deal with uncertainty. The fears of, am I going to catch COVID? Like, how do you date again? Do I have to stay 6 feet apart? All of these fears show us that we have been miswired, seeking our safety from the outside in, control shit, when in fact, safety has always been on the inside out. Security has always been on the inside out. Approval has always been on the inside out. Everything that I've personally learned from 2 divorces, the only one in common, me, and all that I teach my beautiful clients is like this inside out world is the way it works. So what's beautiful about discovering lockdown love, if you're ready to do the work, willing to do the work, is you can fall mad. Can I swear on your show?
You can do whatever you need to do.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes I have to. I was on like this Unity radio station this morning, and I had to be really good. So,
okay. Be you, do you, radiate yourself.
Okay. You have to fall fucking madly in love with yourself. I use fucking there on purpose because there's an intensity, because loving yourself is easy on a good day. But it's the days where we go bankrupt, the days where somebody breaks up with us, the day that we discover we have an STD, the day we discover a friend dies, the day we discover our lover is fucking our best friend. Like, okay, the list can go on, right? Those are the days to fall madly in love with you, stay connected to you so that you can be whole. So that's the journey. My book and programs and all the rest of it take people on is, how do we come home? Like, no shit, come home. Intimacy with self. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's from the inside out, and we've been programmed to look from the outside in. So it's like, oh, validation. Tell me I'm good enough. Tell me I'm pretty enough. Tell me I'm worthy. And then we can go from relationship to relationship, seeking something that we never find. And so for me, I'm divorced. I was in a relationship after that relationship, been single for 2 years, recently started dating. And yeah, some of this stuff can come up and it's like, oh, I don't like that that's there right now, but it's like, oh, it's there because I have to clean it up. And I just love the inside out. So what are some of the things that people or that you've done on your journey? Because I know that you're a master at this, and we've had so many deep conversations. I love how you're kind of like, oh, you know, we're always learning, we're learning. Yes. What are some of the things that you do to really like fucking love yourself no matter what? No matter what's coming your way, how do you go to that place and know that you can be there fully with yourself and love and trust yourself?
Yeah. I call it sitting in the fire. Sometimes it's hard for me to own my worth when I am really badass and masterful. And I do get a lot of accolades and stuff. Like, can I receive the praise? But also on the other side of it, when I'm really a hot mess and things are going to shit, can I receive the moment there as well and not reject myself? So it kind of goes in both directions of what this self-love practice really is all about. And for me, it's an embodiment. So I know in the moment, am I deflecting or resisting? Am I spinning or am I breathing? Am I in my belly? Am I in my heart? Am I in my pussy? Do I feel my feet on the ground? Can I choose to soften the front of my body, open wide, and just be an allowance of what is, whether it's really fucking good or really fucking bad, and just breathe. And so that's, I guess, the condensed version of how I do that. And like story wise, so I'm completely bonkers, 100%. It's actually the calmest in love I've ever been, but I'm also bonkers. Like he's like the coolest thing ever. And as you said with somebody, I think you were just, I don't know what your situation is right now, but we've hit a lot of bumps really fast because we both are willing to have all the blind spots revealed, all of the wounds figured out, and be together. So for example, we were down in Mexico. I just got stem cells. You should say, Lana, you look like 30, because that's the plan. I'm going to live till I'm 150, but whatever. So I was down in Mexico doing all these stem cell treatments and whatever with him and with some other people. And we were having a discussion on the couch, and this friend of his who he's known for quite some time, actually, but he was stroking her leg, and then he kept stroking her leg, and then he continued to stroke her leg. And now it's been about 5 minutes of stroking her leg, and I'm losing my shit. I'm losing my shit. And well,
I would lose my shit too.
You would lose your shit too? Yeah. Okay. So and do I humiliate him in front of everybody? That would be fun, but no, that's not what good Canadian girls do. So but what it brought up was my very first boyfriend ever. I grew up in Kamloops, so I won't name names, but cheated on me. Very first boyfriend cheated on me. And I found out, people at school told me, he didn't tell. Like, it was so devastating and so humiliating. And I mean, you and I've done a lot of work. We're friggin' master coach trainers. I mean, we're badass. And nothing stings more than being in the moment. You can process this ahead of time all you want, but in the moment, there it was, the next level to process. And I wanted to kill him. I wanted to kill her. I wanted to run. I wanted to get on a plane and go home. And I just felt I knew what I knew. Something was off. Something was off. This is not cool. But I overreacted by 10 times overreacted because of the initial wound that hadn't been healed yet. I was unable to stay present. Like I just said a minute ago, soften the front of your body, open wide, stay in your heart. Speak for none of that shit happened. I was lunatic, right? I was like way super upset. So that makes it really easy, of course, to blame me. Like I'm the one overreacting. It has nothing to do with him and everything to do with me, which is never the case. So the first phase of our growth was me taking 100% ownership of, okay, I'm afraid. In the back of my head, the belief is, eventually they'll cheat on me. And underneath that, because ultimately I'm not good enough, right? So having to go in and do the next level of the deeper work, it inspired him, my behavior, to take ownership, inspired him to look at his behavior. Because there was 2 other women at the event too. He didn't go stroking their legs, but he was stroking this one's legs. And I really didn't trust her because her energy was like not clean. And he did the inner work. And here's what he discovered. His mama growing up was needy. And he was the young son who would give of his light, his love, to make mom feel better, because mom's stepdad was cheating on her. And so she was paying all the bills and being cheated on. So very parched, overgiving, insecure, needed his light. So he has this way of being very familiar around wounded women. And in fact, as an adult, would then be attracted habitually to wounded women and would want to soothe the wounded woman. He wasn't sticking his cock in her mouth. He was fondling her leg. However, the energy was slimy and I felt it and I knew it. But if I was going to say, yeah, that wasn't going to get anywhere. So once I proved that I could do the inner work, he sat and did his inner work, and then he totally owned it. I'm sorry. You're right. I like to be her savior. I like that. I'm sorry. You're right. That's inappropriate. And I said, and I will not tolerate that ever again. If you are a man that needs to fondle many women, that's okay. You have the divine right to fondle whoever you want to fondle for the rest of your life. I will never be your girlfriend. And we are done.
Wow.
Boundary. And he did the work, he owned it and the whole thing. And now we're on the other side and he's healed from his mom, totally cleaned up that relationship. We're stronger than ever. I've cleaned up my stuff, like I've healed my, and we're moving forward. But that's a real friggin' life example of two pretty awake humans who still got triggered and still had another level of the lesson to do.
Wow. And it's so interesting how when we have unhealed trauma, and it doesn't even have to be unhealed trauma, we can do the work on it, but it's still an anchor of this is truth. This happened to me and it was painful. So being cheated on, and the first boyfriend that I was ever with cheated on me too, like real relationship. And, it caused me actually to mistrust my intuition and give my husband a 20 chances plus and stay with him much longer than I needed to, because I thought I made a mistake with my ex-boyfriend. This is like over a decade ago, because he never told me the truth. And so it's so interesting how these anchors can really attach to how we show up the cheated on, like, can I trust you? Am I staying too long? And we can, you say reject ourselves, which I love, and it's betraying ourselves. So how do we, and you were talking about opening up, which I love, but how do we become more aware of where we are rejecting ourselves? Because, personally in my life, I'm like a go, go, go person. And I know that you, with your business and everything that's coming your way, you've written 6 books. Oh my gosh, I don't know how you do it all. But how do you know the difference between, being on purpose and having that energy and potentially bypassing love, bypassing or shoving parts of you down or rejecting parts of yourself? Because I think that as we are in these spaces of being really aligned and on our purpose, we can lie to ourselves and get really sneaky. So if there's any tools that you'd like to share, that would be super helpful.
So I'll take the first one. So the first one was like, what's the difference between being totally on purpose, but actually, did you say rejecting a part of ourselves?
Yeah. Or bypassing, like kind of not even knowing that we're doing it. Yeah.
Not even knowing that, bypassing or not even knowing we're doing it. To me, when we start to recognize that we're getting a hit off of the accomplishment, a hit off of the attention, a hit out of closing the next client, it's not just calm gratitude. We need it on some level, right? If we can have the awareness to slow down and do meditation once a day, go for a walk once a day, do whatever the journal once a day, you got to create the space to look and feel. So I guess that would be the presupposition of it all. You must be the observer of the behavior. Then you notice that there's a drive that's a little too much because you don't want to come back to center. And if you came back to center, you'd have to face or feel something you don't want to face or feel. Create the time to slow down and face or feel what that is. Because I was very, very drawn to looking good, being right, and being safe, right? And that drove a lot of success, but it also pushed away a lot of me on the inside. So I didn't hear my intuition because I wasn't anywhere near it. I was off in my head and way out in front. So it takes bravery. It takes a coach like you or me. It takes a community where it's safe to have your blind spots revealed to you. These are some different ways. And worst case, if you don't do any of those kind of things, eventually life is going to bitch slap you and you're going to wake up. You're going to have a bankruptcy. You're going to have like somebody's going to cheat on you again, or what, like something will happen to wake your ass up if you don't. And I don't know, it's nothing wrong with that if that's what it takes for you to finally deal with it. But yeah, I even have another vulnerable story. So I'm going for so I have a partnering app, the world's first partnering app. It's called Heartmates. And it is a combination of a dating app, intimacy training, and live conscious connection calls.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you. You can join at heartmates.app, and it's a very safe platform to date because everybody dating is doing the work. Everybody's in the curriculum and showing up on Fridays to practice conscious communication. So there I was. I got my deck, got my brief, I got my projections, I've got my team in India. The app's almost done. We're approved by Apple. We're approved by Google. I've applied to Y Combinator. Like I'm playing a game here. And then I go for the investor. underneath going for the investor was still a sliver, unbeknownst at the time, because I was trying, like you're just saying, out ahead a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying so hard to be confident enough to do this. Like to build $1 billion company, like that's kind of a big thing to choose. And I wasn't quite in my britches yet. I wasn't quite embodied in that energy yet, but I was willing and I was going for it and doing the whole thing. So when I first went for an investor, I wasn't in my pussy. I wasn't in my gut. I wasn't in my I wasn't even in my willingness to say, that's all fine, but I need all the paperwork run by my lawyers, run by my mentors. I need you to meet all my mentors. Like I didn't do any of that. He was a past client. So I went into la, la, la. I don't have to do any of these things. I can trust him. And he's Canadian to boot. Of course I can trust him. And he wants to give me all this money because I supported him in finding love. Well, that just played right to my heartstrings, didn't it? And turned out he was a fraud. And the way the whole deal went down, I made a loan to get a return on investment. And of course, the loan has not been returned. And he's a fucking fraud. So at a time when I've got very large overhead and a local team and a remote team, and I'm building this, is not the ideal time to have a cash flow crunch. And so that was a big wake-up call for the next level of growth. Yes, I am a master coach. Yes, I've kicked ass. Yes, I've accomplished a whole bunch. And yet this next level of life is going to take something more than what's got me to here. If we ever choose, here I am, and I choose over here to close the gap. You don't just choose it and have it energetically. Okay, fine. But you've got to do the work to vibrate, learn the capacities, face the fears, do 10 more push-ups. If you want to run a triathlon, you've actually got to train. So part of my training, and thank goodness it was only like 140K, not like 140 million or whatever. But my lesson was, you slow down, you trust your gut. You run everything by lawyers. If somebody doesn't want to meet all your mentors, that's a red flag. If an investor needs a loan, that's actually not what investors do. Investors give money, Allana. They don't ask for money. And if somebody wants to shine you on that their whole life was saved by you, and that little insecure girl inside feels, well, I am good enough after all. Even if daddy doesn't love me, at least he does. Like all those layers, the next round got revealed. So that was painful. And I went through, here's an exercise that I do. If the listeners or viewers enjoy this, I looked at what was perfect, right, good, beneficial, advantageous about the mistake I'd made, about not having that cash flow, about not trusting myself. Like what was good, right, beneficial, advantageous of doing that? And I looked physically, mentally, spiritually, vocationally, financially, socially, parentally, romantically, and sexually. I looked every area I could. What was the gift? What was the lesson? What was being invited here? And I learned a lot. It was very humbling, but I learned a lot. And I actually could see from the point of view of God, the universe, the divine. When I say I choose to run $1 billion company, I'm not trained yet. I need to learn a lot of things in all these different areas. And I'm getting my master's, my PhD, my business degree, not from Stanford, from life, on what it's going to take to be that woman who, in the face of rejection, in the face of whatever, asks the tough questions, gets my T's crossed, I's dotted, get it all handled. And so now I just finished an hour ago, another investor conversation with 3 different investors rather than one, and like a team. And this one's good at marketing, and this one's got a track record here, and this one, so I got back on the saddle pretty quick, processed my wounds pretty quick, and no one and no thing will ever fucking take me down. Sorry.
I just got so much energy from you just then. Like,
yeah,
there's so much gold in what you just said. Holy smokes. And I'm thinking about love too right now. It's like when you get thrown off, you can get back up. It's like, what do I need to learn here?
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. And I have a question. So one of the things that you said, that I love, there's so many great pieces there, is you were talking about being in your pussy. So there's some people who, including myself, who's like, well, what exactly does that mean? How do you know? Like, I know the womb space, like the womb, I gravitate towards things or I move away. That's something that I can practice and tune into. What does it mean to be in your pussy? And how does one get into the pussy?
This needs to be a 3-part series.
Part one.
Part one. So now I'm good at it. When I first started, I wasn't even in my body. Let's be honest. I was spinning in my head, 3 steps ahead, trying to look good and be safe. I had no idea about energy. I had no idea about what it felt like to speak to someone with an open heart or a closed heart. I had no idea what my gut feeling like nauseous and heavy was a no. Butterflies and excitement was a yes. And I had no idea all the way down to my pussy that it's like a dark womb of knowing that's pre-thought. It's buzzy in bodily sensation feels buzzy. Emotion feels try me, just try me. It's got this confidence and she doesn't need to do shit. She just sits there and knows all. She's also, I'm saying she, my pussy's a she. So I'm saying she also is only interested in what delights her, turns her on, gives her energy for the highest good of all. She's very, very sacred. She has it has to be for the highest good of all. She's not selfish in the slightest. So she's a very up under humanity type of energy, even though that might be a choice of what to eat for dinner or who to date. It might be like a singular choice. The energy comes from this very, very rich. This is for humanity. This is for the highest good of all. This is for consciousness. This is good with a capital G. So that energy is there. And she has fun. Life does not need to be so fucking serious. So it's like, will this delight me? Is like, no, really. Will it bring me pleasure? Will this fuel my soul? Will this feed my spirit? Will this make me radiate? Just like my shirt today, radiate love. That's my pussy. And she's never wrong. It's just that I don't always listen to her. And one of my fun little tricks I learned over the years, because I've studied with some of our teachers in common, Sachin and Suzanne, and I've probably spent over 200 grand or more on all different courses and certifications over the year. But one of my teachers way back when told me to speak with my pussy lips. I was like, say it again, like a ventriloquist? Is that what you want me to do? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, no, like source your communication in your yoni. And I started trying that. Instead of sourcing my communication in my head, trying to be right and not be hurt, instead of sourcing my communication in my heart, which is open and coherent and kind and loving and whatever, instead of sourcing my communication in my solar plexus, the vibrant choice of how do I choose to use my life force energy to create change, go even deeper, all the way down into that dark. And it's like I see a golden temple in the dark lit by candles on the inside. That's what I see. I go down in there and I source my communications from my sacred yoni. My voice drops. I say less words. I'm totally unattached. And I'm quite inviting, I think. And I could say this to my son to clear his plate from the dinner table. I could say that from judgment in my mind that he hasn't and he's wrong and bad, or maybe a wet handshake type of wet fish handshake from my heart. I love you. You clean your plate from the table. But if I go down all the way into my pussy, it's not even a question. It's like, thank you for clearing your plate and putting it in the sink. That's it. That's all she says. Like, you're welcome. And he gets up and he does it. It's like easy. Yeah. So does that help a little bit?
I love it. It's directive. It's knowing this is it. It's like, this is it. Like, there is no other way here other than this right here, what I'm saying in this moment, what I feel. So I'm going to practice that. One of the things I've noticed in my life over the last probably year and a half ish is my voice has dropped a lot. And you've probably noticed because we were in a, coaching program together, and it used to be very high. It was the, oh, is it okay to, it was like very much, it came from childhood, right? My voice was so high. And it's interesting how the more my voice drops, the more my authority expands, but also people either are like fully on board or not on board in all ways. Yeah. And I either attract or repel people. It's a really interesting thing. So
that's so efficient.
It's
so efficient. I mean, especially with men, efficient with your business. You want to quickly niche down. and get rid of those that aren't a fit. And you want the ones that are a fit to go like, oh, there you are. Yeah. Good for you.
Totally. Yes. Thank you. And so, in the space of dating and calling in the one, because we were just talking about calling in the one, what are some things to look out for in person and also online? Because a lot of people are on dating apps these days. I'm on a dating app for the very first time in my life. And so I'm curious, what are some green flags? And yeah, I just like give us the juice. I know you got the juice. I know you got all the goods. Share the goods. Tell me everything.
I encourage you to get on my partnering app, and I'm calling it a partnering app for a reason, because dating apps are designed to keep you single. They have a perverse business incentive to make money by keeping you single. So they're using you. They're saying, oh, you'll find the one, but they're making sure you start with finding the one, empty, devastated, needy, giving you sprinkles of other people if it gets slightly hard. So they don't teach you to heal your heart. They don't teach you how to complete the past. They don't teach you how to sit in the fire, keep your heart open. They don't teach you how to have healthy communication. They don't teach you about long-term relationship, because then you'd get off the app, right? So dating apps are designed to keep you single. Oh, just for $1, you can come on in and wound as many people as you'd like, catfisher. Sure, come on in. We'd love to have you, ghosters. How about you, cheaters? Come on in here, 3 months for free, right? So not on my fucking watch. So a year ago, so it's March now, right? So a year ago, March, COVID hits, and my single clients are already lonely and devastated. Where's the one? They're already on dating apps getting ghosted after the first conversation happens. And they're like, where can we find conscious people to date? And I said, it's a really good question. And then this thing came through me and it pulled me, this energy. And I said, it's time. It's time. So I invested my own money in developing this app. And over time, I now have the category king, Christopher Lochhead, #1 Amazon, or not Amazon, the Apple podcast, best marketing guy. He's just a gem, Canadian. Woo. He is my supportive category designer, saying, Allana, this isn't a dating app. This is the world's first partnering app. Because what we do not start with finding the one. We start with becoming the one to find the one, to keep the one. And my business model is not perverse. My business model is a long-term value for a client, because I will welcome you when there's a wound to heal. You will be on our own dating app that only people in the intimacy training are on. And you will learn to communicate and meet the community and start with friendship and allies as you learn to meet them on the conscious connection calls. This is what works. So that's what I would say is, don't go where you're setting yourself up to be preyed upon by a business structure that wants you to fail and wonder why it's not going very well. And instead, join this new category, this new partnering app, and be a success story. Because that's part of my joy, is I love my clients so fucking much. Now that I got the whole team going and the investors are almost here, my joy is going around meeting my members all over the world and supporting them wherever they're at. I noticed you still haven't got your profile up. I can tell. I have a tech team. They're telling me, and hey, here's a beer. We're going to sit down. We're going to do this shit together. Here we go. Right. And that's going to be a video. And we're going to put that video inside the app. Or I've noticed you've had a string of first dates and I haven't seen any second dates. Okay. There's been 30 of them. We need to talk. What's going on? Go for a walk along the beach. And then I'll let this man or woman know what the hell's going on, of why there isn't a second date. Or I notice you just hid your profiles and you've requested to be upgraded from Heartmates for Singles to Heartmates for Couples. And you've had your first fight. Okay, super good. Let's have a talk about how to resolve this, right? So I'm going to be the engaged founder who cares about her people, with a business structure that is for clients, not against them, with a platform that's a partnering app that's actually set up to help you succeed. So that's the recipe. There's no way through but through. You must do the work, and you must do the work once you found each other, people. Last time I remember, a plant needs watering and sun and fertilizer and pruning. It doesn't just live. So don't kid yourself that, oh my God, we found the one and now it's all perfect. No, before you know it, the affair will happen. Because if you don't feed the plant, it's going to just wither and die. You need to feed yourself. Continue to still feed yourself once you're in a relationship, and then feed the relationship. But here's the really cool thing that I believe is happening, especially your audience. Conscious people listen to you. Conscious people listen to me. About a year ago, the amazing Dr. Barbara Marks Hubbard passed away. I got to talk with her days before she passed on another colleague's radio show, Dr. Kelly Sullivan Walden. She's the dream coach, the dream doctor. And I was complaining to 92-year-old Dr. Barbara Marks Hubbard. I can have oneness with the divine. I can have oneness with myself. I can have oneness with my pussy, but shit, if I can find a man, like I just keep getting divorced. Like, what is going on? And she, in her glory, said, well, you did the first marriage as a role mate. You just wanted like the rich man, like you married for money. That's okay. You grew. The second one, you did a soulmate relationship. You wanted the baby, right? And it was one half person meeting another half person, and you completed each other. Very Jerry Maguire, right? So two wounds attracted each other. And then of course that blew up. She said, now it's time for a whole mate relationship where two wholes come together. And it's fun for yourself. It's fun for the relationship, but it's 1 + 1 = infinity. These two wholes come together for humanity, for consciousness itself. You literally awaken the evolutionary spark within one another. Something combusts because two whole people are coming together. And that's why I named my partnering app Heartmates after whole mates. That's what's possible, people, now on the planet. If you do the work, you can have a relationship that changes the world. What happened when I committed a year ago to this app? When I had enough extra time, extra energy, I could use that extra energy to bullshit myself, tell myself a good story, make excuses, and also overgive my energy. You're a very bright light. We're both very bright lights. We have a lot of energy that we can run through our beings.
Right.
I had to really honestly slow down and look at how much I gave versus how much I received. And I gave way more than I received, but I also didn't ask. I didn't ask to receive either. So there was another layer of self-worth. Like, do I really deserve to be this supported, this protected, this provided for, this safe, this honored, all those things? It was so much more comfortable to support and protect and provide everybody else. So when I started to really look, what I discovered was, yes, the deal breakers were there. No, I wasn't sticking by them. But no, I wasn't actually asking for what I wanted. I wasn't willing to be disappointed, wasn't willing to be hurt again. And I was really willing to make an excuse. Oh, no, you're right. I am a very successful woman. You're right. I'll pay for everything. That's fine. But really, I wanted to be taken out for dinner. And I felt ashamed of something as simple as being taken out for dinner. So I had to do another layer of work of to really be full, whole. I need to receive more. I'm the one in the way of that. So another layer of deeper work, another layer of bravery, asking for it, another layer of thank you, but no thank you. And another layer of really organizing my whole life, personally and professionally. Like, I now have a full-time Allana Care person. Like, I have a full-time personal assistant and my staff. And that was hard. What should she do? I don't know. Like, how do I serve me? And then I had a long fucking list of all these things that I do that I could completely delegate, but I just never do because, I'll just do it myself. And then I started to have to be honest about, I'm tired. Well, I'm even more tired. And I'm like, oh, that's just gross. Your worth is based on how tired you are and how hard you're working and what you've overcome.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of deep work to really go, even though I can, change the world before breakfast, I don't have to. So what would full and delighted and joyful look like, feel like? What would the structure be like? How much would I really work? What would I let him provide? What would I be delighted to provide him? What would it really honestly look like? So a lot more deep diving so that when you go out dating again, you're clear, really clear right out of the gate. And you're not 1 inch forward trying to get attention. You're not 1 inch back, not wanting to be hurt. You're here. And that's when I ran into this man fully showing up for this event. It was down in Costa Rica. It was all a bunch of business owners. I felt like I was the smallest fish in the sea. You were supposed to have at least $1 million a year in revenue, and I made 700, but it wasn't $1 million. I was feeling not good enough, and they're impacting humanity on this level. And I tithe and I do my things, but I'm not impacting at Richard Branson level. So I went there and I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to be myself. I'm just going to give from the overflow. I'm just going to love and live and shine. And if I'm a fit, great. And if I'm not a fit, great. And that's when I met him. And it's interesting. I was brave. I showed up. I faced my wobbly. I kept going. I was intending to serve and contribute. I was my best self in that light, vulnerable and powerful and real. And that's when it happened. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I'm so happy that you found someone that you absolutely love and everything that you're doing. And the self-worth piece is such a big thing. It's so funny. I feel like everything that you've said today, I'm like, yeah, that's something I'm working on, or that's something I've been working on. It's just all these things have been coming to the surface that I didn't even know were there. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm fine. And then I had this dream the other night and I fell off a bike and I ended up in the water and I was stuck under a pier and I was trying to breathe, right? So I'm
Oh,
swimming
wow.
and my head was just up and I gasped for air and I said, it's a self-worth issue. And I woke up to my own voice and I sat up in my bed
Holy
and I
shit.
was like, soul is speaking to me. And I was like, oh, it's a self-worth issue. And then I realized, oh, I've been so busy. I have so many projects. I'm doing all these things. And I'm like, I think I'm doing it, some of it from the wrong place.
Mhm.
And it really has allowed me to go a few layers deep. I still have layers to go there because I didn't even know that that was there, but clearly it's there.
Mm.
So I'm excited to unpack it. I'm excited to lean into it because, and there's been a few other reminders within the last 7 days. I'm like, oh, I'm not holding myself to my full capacity of what I want to receive. And the receiving part, as you mentioned, has always been something that's been difficult. So what is a practice that you do that allows you to open yourself up to receive when naturally you're like, oh, I'm fine? Because for me, I'm always fine. I want to help everyone else. And I know that a lot of the listeners right now are probably thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
They help, they serve a lot, but they're not really good at receiving and asking for what they want. And I know that you're queen at this today.
Oh, I don't know if I'm queen at it, but I'm good.
You are.
I use sandwiches. And I learned this back when I ran a Toastmasters meeting when I first moved to California. A sandwich is, you start with a piece of bread. So the piece of bread is, it's either internal to yourself. You say quietly to yourself, like, I know you don't need this, but you can have this. Like it's some sort of sweet little comment that you'd make to yourself. Or if you're going to ask somebody else for something, you want to just be grateful for all that they provide already. Thank you for being a great boyfriend. Thank you for being a great friend. Thank you for being what have you. Just gratitude. Middle of the sandwich, you get brave. And if it's just talking to yourself inside, you'd say, so little Deidre or little Allana, can I speak straight to you? And then you really want that guy to do whatever, or you really want someone to support you in your business, or you really want that push-up bra because it's got glitter sparkles and you want to buy it, like, or whatever. Like, you just tell the truth on the inside. And if it's a person on the outside, you'd say, can I speak from my heart? Can I tell you what's true for me? So permission, right? And then you just say, and then you just ask, put the little thing at the beginning of the sentence. It would make me so happy if, or it would delight me if, or you would be my hero if, or I would be so juicy if, or, this kind of, you just started off the beginning of the sentence, then you just fucking ask for what you want. Then you burn. You don't take it back. You don't run. You don't wobble. You just burn in the discomfort of the unknown, the uncertainty. They'll say yes or no. Or on the internal side, you burn within yourself and you're just like, but I don't need to. And the mind will take over and do everything it's going to say. And you just burn, and you stay connected to what it is you choose. And then the end of the sandwich would just be saying, so does that work for you? Or how does that work for you? Would that work for you? And you receive what it is you've asked for. And you sort of repeat that cycle over and over. You affirm with gratitude. You ask permission. You ask for what you want. And you declare that it'll make you happy. And then you be with the discomfort because it's going to be uncomfortable to receive for a long time. It's very uncomfortable that I have an assistant that checks on me all the time. It's actually really, really uncomfortable that someone else is like handling stuff. It's really uncomfortable that I have an extra like 3-4 hours throughout the week when she's my operations manager now talking to all my staff for me. I'm like, what should I do with myself? It's very uncomfortable.
You do whatever you want.
But what's happening is I'm starting to hear what it is I truly desire, that none of us know when we're moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, when we're giving away all of our energy all the time, and we go to bed tired so we never have to feel fully alive to really know what the truth wants to tell us. We don't know the truth when we're exhausted. We don't know the truth when we're parched. We don't know the truth when we have too many glasses of wine at night, right? So I'm not going to lie. Receiving is very uncomfortable. I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable with it, but I know it feeds my soul, and I know I'm a better human. I'm more patient. I'm more kind. I'm more creative. I'm more juicy. I know it's worth it. And I know my self-worth is rising the more I do it. And I know that a good receiver who praises makes the other person feel amazing. Like my staff loves to work for me. I'm their favorite boss because I praise them all fucking day long. Right. And I mean it. So it's fun. It's fun to serve a grateful queen. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, I love speaking to you. My heart is so full and I'm just getting so many nuggets from this. And I know everyone is too. Um, as we begin to wrap up, because I know you and I could talk literally for days about relationships, and we'll definitely have to have you back or do something more together in this space because I know there's so many layers to it. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners, a message, a system, or anything that you feel called to share? And then from there, I'd love to hear how people can reach out to you and connect with you and all the things.
Thank you. What practice? It's a simple one, but it might sound like it's not going to do a big deal, but it really does. I just wake up every morning and go to sleep every night with a hand on the heart and a hand either on my belly or my yoni. And I do this to check in with myself. And I say, hey, sweet self, how you doing? Or, hey, sweet self, what do you want to let me know? Or, hey, sweet self, what have I not slowed down enough to hear you say? And that's really like been a savior to do every single day. Cause I used to go to bed spinning in my head of everything I didn't get done or everything I wanted to control the next day or replaying things that I wish I'd done. Like, which is awful. But when I go to bed, loving myself and going within, everything gets quiet and still. And then I can go to sleep. And then in the morning, instead of, okay, we got to do this. And if we don't, we're not good enough. Like I was empty in the morning. And if I did enough in the day, then I was finally worthy of love, or I don't know what crazy point of view I had. But anyways, I would just jump out of bed to try to be good enough. But in the morning now, when it's like, hey, sweet thing, what do you want to let me know? You're magic. Like my inner self will say all these really lovely things, or I scared, or you need to talk to your boyfriend about that. That doesn't feel good. That thing you said, we need to clean that up. Something's off. Like she'll just tell me what's there. And then I'll commit to taking action based on what I hear. And that inner intimacy is the foundational building block of self-realization. I really believe it is. Being home with ourselves. From there, when we're not, resisting the past or clamoring for the future, when we're home, then I believe the universe can have its way with us. Then the energy of creativity can come in as and through and really use us for quantum leaps and serving humanity and doing everything else. But we can't be used if we're not even home in the first place, right? Open and listening. So that would be just be with yourself. And then when the inspiration comes through, be brave and take action. And do so with the best of your ability to not be attached to the result, because even falling down and failing is a lesson. You can't fail. You're going to grow every single time you step up. So don't worry about that. Just keep the bicycle, you need to keep pedaling to keep moving. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And life becomes really magical. And then have somebody like you or I that has your back. Because I have 3 coaches, plus a dance teacher, plus an energy worker. So there's like 5 of them. Like I can't function without a team. So that doesn't mean I'm weak. That means I'm clever. So be sure that you've got someone that has your own back, because none of us can do it alone. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's such a game changer when you get the right support.
Yeah.
And I know in my life, when I hired my first coach, I had all these insecurities come to the surface of what are they going to think about me? Because they really do see you. That's why you hire someone. But by being seen fully, you can see yourself more deeply. And that is so powerful. So please share with us how we can get in touch with you, how we can be a part of this app, how we can get your book. How do we plug in to Allana Pratt? Tell us everything.
you. That's so sexy and suggestive. I love that. So heartmates.app is where you join the partnering app, heartmates.app. AllanaPratt.com, my name, is where you can go to. There's an intimacy blind spot assessment quiz there. There's a cuddle puddle webinar there that you can listen to that's really quite delicious. All my books are there. I have 6 of them. Guided meditations are there. You can also go to Amazon and get any of my books there. My podcast is Intimate Conversations. So you can search for that on YouTube or iTunes and all the other podcast places. My YouTube channel, Allana, is my name, Allana Pratt. Instagram, my handle is Allana Pratt. Twitter, Facebook is Coach Allana Pratt. These are all the different places you can play with me. And I love to do weekly inspirations every week. And you'll find that they are either videos or written or audios, but they're very vulnerable and they give people permission to really fuck up and also really soar to the stars. Like there's just no shame in great success or great failure. It's just all about life. It's just all about being and allowing yourselves to have a delicious life. So I think it'll be inspiring for people just to let me love you once a week. So yeah. Thank you.
Oh, well, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm on your newsletter and I'm joining your app probably today because I think it's amazing. And you're just glowing, you're radiating from your heart. And it's just so great to have you here.
Thank you. Tell me if you do, because tomorrow is the Conscious Connection call and I will let my facilitators know to pair you up with somebody hot, somebody sexy.
I'm in. Send me the link. Oh, sister, it's been so great.
Likewise.
I will put all of your links in the show notes. So if you're listening right now, all of her links to all social, all the things are in the show notes. Make sure to check her out. She's a good friend of mine and soul sister. And we've been through some ebbs and flows together on the journey. And yes, you're seriously radiating. You've always had an expansive energy, but even now it's more embodied. It's more calm. It's sexier. It's all the things. So thank you for being you and shining and sharing with everyone today. It means a lot to me.
Thank you for acknowledging me. Can't wait to have you on my podcast, sister.